Welcome to Elder Geek's Elder Speak. My name is Randy Yasenchak, editor of ElderGeek.com. It is actually the super early hours of June 16th, 2013. This time around, I actually want to talk a little bit about my experience with Rome 2 Total War. I got some great hands-on time with Rome 2, and Total War fans are not going to be disappointed with it. Kind of want to just throw that out there. It was, SEGA started off with a pretty nice presentation leading up to, what they are planning on doing with the game. It didn't really, there's really not much to say. It's going to be another Total War game set back in Rome. They spoke a great deal about the city building and the map building and everything like that. Going into the city building and the map building itself, they greatly improved the visuals on the map design as a whole. There's a lot more interactive little nice things going on, like camels walking around, and as cities are being built, you can see them slowly pop up across the plains. It's no longer just a boom next turn and your castle is slightly bigger, or boom next turn and your town is slightly bigger. You can see it slowly building up. And what's interesting is if you have a city that's built within the middle of a forest, as the city gets larger and larger, the resources start to get used up more and more. Everything. Conquering territories this time around in Rome is not going to be the same as it was in some past Total War games. You don't just conquer the capital and then move on, and then you control that section of the map. Now it's a little bit different. You fight for control over portions of each part of the map. So one part of the map is not under your control until you control the 4 segments of it within there. So you got to control the resources and the actual city and a couple of other sections of that map as well. So that's actually a really cool concept. So it's not just conquer a city and then move on. It's conquer a city and then also maintain that entire area as well. Now, unfortunately, once again, just like the Bethesda show, I was not able to record any footage. I was allowed to, record some audio and make some notes, and so that's kind of what I'm using for right now to tell you exactly how it went down. After their presentation was completed, I got to have some hands-on time with the game, and the game played great. People who are familiar with the Total War franchise are not going to have any problems getting right into it. There were some really nice additions that were done to it. Now you can command a naval battle and a land battle at the exact same time. It's no longer going to be just naval battle or just land battle. Now they are on the same map. So during the campaign, during the map that you got to play, you could either play as the Egyptians who had the upper hand and had the top of this hill, and they had siege equipment and everything along those lines in a larger navy, or you could play as the Romans, who had the smaller army, and they were at the bottom of the hill, and they had to take the hill, and, they had the smaller navy as well. I chose to play as Rome. After dumping in more hours than I'd like to say into Shogun 2, I decided to, kind of make it harder for myself. Fun fact, I'm going to interject in here right now. That day I was on a roll. I just had magic fingers where I was crashing PCs left and right. And every time I would crash a PC, some developer would kind of scurry over as quickly as they possibly could, and they would, with some sweat on their brow, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, this is the first crash that I've had today. What did you do? Could you tell me what you did?" Wouldn't be able to repeat it, So I was doing well. I want to say that I was doing well. I think I could have pulled off a win, but the game crashed on me. But anyway, so I'm playing the game, and some of the things that I wanted to notice, or I want to tell you about, the maps themselves are much more detailed, like the actual overworld map. But the campaign, or not the campaign maps, but the battle maps are also way more detailed than even Shogun 2. And it is really interesting. We're talking about like buildings mixed in with forests, mixed in with roads, and this map that I played on was just incredible. A nice variation in terrains. It was no longer just massive hill or flat plain or deep valley. It was, there were some nice bumps to the hills, which was great to see. I want to say that it's a darker game than Shogun 2, and by darker I don't mean that like it's emo or that it was brooding or anything along those lines. But it was darker. Like when I would lay out my units to play on the field, where I was laying them out on the field was a little bit harder to see. Whereas in like Shogun 2, you have the nice bright yellow spots against the green grass showing where they were going to be. Whereas this, where my units were going to land, it was kind of a dark brown color. And since I was playing on kind of a sandy, deserty map, it was dark brown on top of brown. And it was really tough to see where my units were going to go. I hope that they fix that, or I hope they do something to kind of change that color on the fly. The individual units look gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Each soldier looks a little bit different, and just their animations while walking and moving were fantastic. And what was nice is, when you had your big clash of the battles, the system didn't seem to slow down at all from what I saw. The action cam is back. I played around with that. I made myself an elephant rider, so I was kind of bashing around on some people while doing that from that point of view. And the sound design is really nice as well. One of the things that I really liked about it is when you zoom out, you can zoom out to a high point on the map, but you can also zoom out to a very, very, very high point on the map where it doesn't show the map at all anymore. Well, not a detailed map. It turns itself into a line map. And the line map has all of your units in the traditional tactical rectangles. And inside it would say whether it was a ranged unit or a melee unit or a cav unit. So you could pull back and see just a massive scale of how your armies are interacting with one another without needing to worry about the game kind of render every individual soldier while you were doing that. So in a grand scale, it could be a pretty interesting. It could be a pretty interesting change. I don't know how much I'm going to use it. I kind of got annoyed at it a couple of times. I mean, it was a really cool feature, but I got a little annoyed at it a couple of times because I like having that cap, that ceiling cap, where I can roll back and I know I'm not going to lose it. So maybe it's just going to be something I got to get used to when I play it. But again, I crashed it. I'm not marking that as a black mark against them because it's obvious a demo build for a convention. There's bound to be problems. But I enjoyed it. I really did, and I can see myself sinking a ton of time into it, even though I'm a tactical dunderhead. I am no good at tactical strategy games, but I had a really good time with it. I truly think that the only problem that I was finding with it was that color issue. People are probably going to see this as being the brownest of the Total War games. I did get some questions answered from the fans. Some fans had asked, is there going to be blood in it? When I played it, there was no blood. I pulled one of the devs aside and I said, hey, I noticed there's no blood in this. Are you guys going for a PEGI 16 rating, or I guess it would be for the MSRB, the 14 rating? Why do I know the PEGI rating more than I know the ESRB rating? I live in the United States. Anyway, they did say that there was no blood in it, but I asked, are you going to be doing a blood pack? And they couldn't give me an official answer as to, like, a yes or no. However, they did follow up and say, we can't say we're going to be doing a blood pack, but we can say it was a very successful thing for us to do it, and we would be kind of silly to not repeat that again. So, most likely there is going to be a blood pack again coming out later on. I asked about the culture packs. They said that yes, there is plenty of DLC culture packs in the works for Rome 2. So, I hope that satisfies a lot of people's curiosities with Rome 2. I got to try out a nice variety of the units. That's Rome 2. I hope to have some nice footage to go over top of some of the portions where I'm talking here. But if not, sorry. But thanks so much, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.